Most creators are fed the same cookie cutter advice. The real strategy, though, is locked away behind high-ticket rooms. What I'm about to share, you've most likely never heard before on YouTube, because normally you've got to pay thousands of dollars to get this level of insight. I've invested heavily to learn from the top 1%, the people who live and breathe spotting opportunities, stacking probabilities, and turning ideas into money like it's second nature. That's not everyday knowledge, and it's not what you'll find in free YouTube tutorials for the most part. Because here's the truth, most of us are surrounded by the opposite, negative media, people who think we need to stay small, a world that tells you your success is out of reach. But once you step outside of that noise, you discover a completely different ballgame. And that's the game I'm about to open up for you today in this video. I'm going to break down the 6 pillars of intentional growth, the exact strategies I share with my private clients who pay thousands of dollars to access this insight. This is how you stop posting randomly and start building with purpose. And why should you listen to me? Because my first year on YouTube, I made multi-6 figures, and I'm going for 7 figures the second year. I didn't do it alone. I had a lot of help from my mentors. So if you're ready, buckle up. We are going for a wild ride in this video. So let's do this. Okay, the first pillar I want to talk about is your words matter more than you think. What you say and how you say it not only represents your personal brand and what you stand for or against, but determines who you attract to your channel. Your words chosen wisely or haphazardly determines whether you attract action takers, solid clients, or tire kickers, victims, or people looking for shortcuts, hacks, and get-rich-quick schemes. So let me share a personal story with you regarding this. About 6 months ago, my business mentor, Harut, who I've talked about many times on this channel, looked at me and said, Alexa, you need to stop saying, if I can do it, you can do it, because most people can't. Now, if you're new to my channel, I say this all the time on my channel. If I can do this, you most definitely can. I'm a mother of 3, nothing special, right? Now, my first reaction to him was to want to push back because I hate it when people put down other people and their capabilities. Of course they can, I was screaming in my head. But before I could even get a word in, because if you know Harut, he can talk. But he said, Alexa, you are rare. You need to realize you're not like most people. I know grown men with no kids, no family, and no major responsibilities, and they cannot do 10% of what you're doing right now. If you don't realize how special you are, you'll give inaccurate information to your viewers and it will hurt your brand. The more I realized he was right. I do still believe with all my heart that if I can do this, you can do this too. But, and this is the critical part that I must add into my messaging now, is only if you're willing to put in the sweat, the tears, and the sacrifices like I have. And that's why words matter in the most nuanced way. When I said, if I can, you can, it gave false hope. It also attracted the wrong people to me. People who wanted quick fixes, people who weren't willing to put in the work, people who thought it was going to be easy. This work is not easy. Is it worth it? 100%. Easy? No way. And do you know what happened? My first cohort, although I worked with some stellar people, the majority was filled with those types of people. People looking to be saved, with no drive, no ambition, just chasing money without effort. They ghosted me, they skipped payments, and today they're still sitting in the same place they were before, looking for the next shiny object. But when I changed my language, everything shifted. I got more direct. I had more of a tough love attitude on my channel, and I started telling the whole story, not just the highlight reel. Yes, I grew fast on YouTube, but only because I didn't play small. I jumped in without fully formed plans. I made mistakes. I was willing to fail, and I kept moving despite those failures. And suddenly, I started attracting people who are aligned, people willing to work, to sacrifice, and actually earn the results they wanted, the exact people I want to work with. And that's why Harut spent 20 minutes hammering this into me one day before our coaching call. Because your words shape your brand. They determine whether you attract winners or quitters. So here's the takeaway for you in this first pillar. Inspire, motivate, of course, give hope, but share the whole picture when you can. I didn't see the whole picture until he pointed it out to me. I just assumed people lived in a similar manner to me, but the majority don't. So show the work it takes and speak directly to the people who are ready, willing, and able to put in that work. Because those words, they not only attract the right people, they attract people who are willing to pay for your services because they understand the value of what you are offering. And here's something I hear way too often. But my niche is different. People aren't willing to pay high ticket in my niche. Really? Because the first question I would ask you is, are you willing to pay high ticket to fix your problems? And usually this comes up on a sales call when they're trying to get into my program. The same sales call where they don't buy, which makes sense. Because here's the truth. One of two things is happening in that moment. Number one, they don't have the confidence in their ability to help people or the skill set to sell it. Or number two, and this is more often the case, they've never been willing to invest in themselves, yet they want others to pay for something that they would never pay for themselves. That's the trap. You can't expect people to invest in you if you're not willing to invest in yourself. And here's what I've seen. I've yet to meet a single successful person, mentor, entrepreneur, or creator who didn't pour resources into their own growth. Even the ones who started with nothing found a way to reinvest every dollar back into learning more. That's the common thread. Which brings us to the next pillar. Number 2 is invest in yourself. If you want to go further, faster, you have to be willing to invest in yourself. I don't just mean money, I mean time, energy, and focus. But yes, money too. Because here's the truth. Trying to build a business without investing in yourself is like hacking through a jungle with a butter knife. It's slow, it's painful, and it's messy. But when you invest in mentors, courses, books, masterminds, you're borrowing someone else's machete. You're moving through years of mistakes in weeks. And here's the mindset shift. The broke mindset is this: I can't afford to. The growth mindset says, how can I find a way to afford this? And here's the crazy thing. You can't afford not to do this. Because let's be honest here. When you have exhausted every single free resource, when you've hit rock bottom, when the path of staying stuck is greater than the fear of spending money on yourself. But why wait until you're that desperate? Sure, you can keep trying to figure it out on your own. You can hit your head against the wall a million times for years. You can keep starting and stopping, but at what cost? Wasted time, lost opportunity, and none of us know how much time we really have on this planet. And that's why I invest before I ever think of not investing. So here's another example. I already work with Think Media coaches, and yes, I pay for it already. But I also want access more to Sean Cannell himself. So just yesterday, I reached out to ask if he does one-on-one and what it cost. Did I sit there worrying if I could afford it? Not at all. I wanted to know the number so I know what I need to do to save to get on that call. And I will get on that call because I will save the money to talk to him. Because what happens when I invest at that level, I go further faster. I take that knowledge and then I pour it into my clients, my subscribers, my audience, my community, you all right here in this video. I'm pouring the knowledge that I have paid for into this video so that you can have it and go run with it and be successful. Because when you win, I win. That's the real secret. Investing in yourself does so much more than it looks like on the surface. And here's what most people miss. It forces you to show up differently. When you've paid the price, you value it more, you act faster, right? And it also teaches you the value of people's expertise, which changes how you sell your own products because you've invested in someone else, gotten value, understand that paying for services allows you to go further faster. And it gives you access to lived experiences, the failures and the successes that you can't find in free content. That knowledge is priceless. So now, when I find a good mentor, I don't think I can't afford it. I think I can't afford not to, because the cost of not doing it, the wasted years, the missed opportunities, is far greater than the price tag, often than not. And I've done this again and again. I've invested sums of money in mentors that made me sweat and freak out. And every time it's paid back tenfold. That's how I built a multi-six-figure business and a channel with 50,000 subscribers and a community with 7,000 people in it just in 12 months. Because that's how I built this business. I invested in myself. And look, I get it. Sometimes you truly can't afford it. Not yet. That's fine. You can still borrow books from the library, audit free college courses, free webinars, find those live calls that you can join, whatever it is. And when you have a little bit of money, invest it, do it, because the speed and clarity you gain will always dwarf what you spend, but only if you dare to apply what you learn. So here's the real strategy. If you want others to invest in you, you have to model it first. Show the market you believe in paying the price for growth, because the level of your success will always, always, always mirror the level of your investment that you made to yourself. Okay, so let's move on. I get a little passionate, you guys. Bear with me. Okay, so now you're speaking right? You've got the right words. You're backing them up by investing in yourself. But the real glue that holds it all together is pillar number 3, and that's authenticity. Now I know this word is thrown around all over the place right now, but most people aren't actually authentic. And it's so freaking important for your YouTube growth, because your words without trust, empty. Your personal investment without integrity is a waste of money. By the end of this section, you will never ever want to hide who you are again, because it's holding you back. Because in a world full of fakes, authenticity isn't optional. It's your advantage. It's the biggest weapon you have in your toolbox that most are too scared to use. So when you're real, people feel it, and they might not even be able to explain why, but they lean in. They listen longer. They trust faster. Now let me be clear. Authenticity doesn't mean dumping your whole life online. It means alignment. That what you say matches what you do. That what you teach matches what you do. So here, let me give you an example. I see this all the time, all day long with my clients. And of course with myself too. I'm not excluded from this work. It's continual. It's not a one-time fix. It's a constant in your life. When clients come to me at this stage where they're crying, like seriously crying, or their eyes are heavy with tears, or they have dark circles under their eyes. Ugh, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about this right now. I know that that is the moment. It's the make or break moment, and it requires me to tread very carefully. It's a pivotal moment in that person's life. YouTube has them on their knees. They are face to face with everything I've been coaching them on. They now know they're holding themselves back. They know they're hiding, and it's become undeniable. Because here's what's going through their mind every time they film. I can't say that. What will people think? I'm not ready to share this. I'm not successful enough to show up like that. And those thoughts, that fear of being seen, are the exact reason they're stuck. It's like standing on the edge of a cliff, and you either jump, not knowing if you'll sink or swim, or you back away and stay small and stay stuck. But the ones who jump, they find out the ocean doesn't swallow them. They swim, they figure it out, they get clarity, they see land, they move forward towards it, and suddenly clients appear, comments, subs, views. The momentum grows because the universe rewards authenticity and action, of course, too. And it's not easy. If you ever run into someone in life that is successful, and you're around them, I want you to admire them. They have put in the work, the sweat, and the tears, and faced the darkness, conditioning, and a trauma and judgment that they have against them. Be appreciative that you have someone like that in your circle, because owning who you are, flaws and gifts, builds a brand, not perfection, not performance. So, with this pillar, here's the strategy. Stop overthinking how to look authentic and focus on being aligned. Share the story behind the success. Show the cracks as well as the wins. Let people feel the truth. Because when you allow people to see you, they will allow you to see them. And that's trust. Being authentic doesn't repel the right people. It repels the wrong ones. And that's very important because that's exactly what you want while you're building your YouTube channel. I remember one of my earliest videos, I was out walking. I was sweating. The audio was horrible. It was windy. I was out of breath. I didn't have any makeup on. Not that I wear makeup anyway, but whatever. The people who didn't like that video, they weren't my people. But the ones who stayed, those are my people. The real, the raw, the rebels who value true connection, not fake, covered, masked people. And I know what you're thinking. But Alexa, my past is bad. My story is scary. My story is XYZ. Do you think you are the only one? Do you think life isn't hard for everyone? Everyone has their baggage. It makes us who we are. You are beautiful, no matter what you have been through. In fact, what we have been through and survived oftentimes makes us more beautiful because it creates a voice in us, a voice that allows us to know what we do and do not put up with anymore, what we are willing to fight for or fight against. That that life. It created that passion in you. Honor your story. In fact, there's a man in my Skool community. His name is Lucky. He's a beautiful human being. He spent 24 years incarcerated. Do I see an ex-con when I talk to him? Not at all. What I feel isn't judgments towards him. It's anger at the American justice system, because when he walked out, he stepped into a completely different world than the one he left. For him, adapt or die isn't a catchphrase. It's reality. Imagine being dropped straight from the 90s into the 2020s. No internet experience, no iPhones, no Wi-Fi, nothing. It's like landing on another planet. And yet he's going full throttle, and he is inspiring to watch. He's obsessed with AI. He's devouring everything he can. He comes to every single call with me, always asking questions, always pushing himself. He even taught an AI class during one of our calls in my community. Everything is stacked against that man. But here's the difference. He doesn't hide. He owns his past, and the ownership is exactly what makes him powerful. It fuels him. He is not wasting any time because he knows what it's like to have his time wasted. We all have a story, but here's the thing. A story can be told in many ways. You can tell it in a way that lifts others up or in a way that drags you down. The choice is always yours. No one else gets to decide how you respond to your past or what you do with your life experience. That power belongs to you. So be authentic. Be proud of who you are, because no one is perfect, and that's the point. Perfection doesn't inspire trust. It makes people uncomfortable. It feels fake, because deep down we know no one's life is picture perfect. So embrace who you are, stand tall, and you will win in life. So once you've embraced authenticity, there's one more shift you have to make, or all that honesty goes to waste. Which leads me to pillar number 4. Claim your worth. Authenticity makes people trust you, but trust alone isn't enough. Because here's the problem. You can be the most authentic person in the world, but if you show up small, people will treat you small. You have to claim your worth. And I get it, it's not easy. Not at all. Most of us were raised not to brag, not to boast, not to think too highly of ourselves, not to be too vocal. But this isn't about ego, it's about truth. Or as the Viking, my husband always likes to say, because he's an engineer, it's about the facts. And the facts are this. You are always one step ahead of someone else. That step, your step, could be the exact thing they need right now. But if you downplay yourself, if you minimize your value and your volume, you rob them of the opportunity to learn from you. I see this with clients all the time. They'll say, who am I to charge for this? Who is going to pay me for this? Who am I to teach this? And my response is always the freaking same. Who are you not to? Because if you've put in the work, if you've gained the knowledge, if you've lived the experience, you've earned the right to claim your value. I had to learn this the hard way myself. For a long time, I undercharged, I over-delivered, and I downplayed what I knew. And guess what? People treated me exactly the way I presented myself, small. But the moment I raised my standards, the moment I said, this is my worth, this is the level I operate at, and this is the price to work with me, everything changed. Clients respected me more, they showed up harder, and they got better results. So claiming your worth does not only benefit you, it benefits those in your corner. Now, claiming our monetary worth feels foreign to so many of us, but it's something we have to embrace. So here's my story. I'm 100% confident in the transformation I provide. And every sales call I take, I get better at stating my price because I have more and more proof. Lives changed through my program. And because I've invested heavily in myself and other programs, I know the value of growth and what it's worth. But in the beginning, saying, yes, I charge 5 figures scared the life out of me. It felt awkward, it felt uncomfortable, and I didn't have the confidence to say it without flinching. And I'm sure that lack of confidence cost me sales. I'll never forget one of my early sales calls when I was charging 1/3 of what I charge now. The gentleman stopped me mid-sentence. He said, you're passionate, you believe in what you do, but the moment you state your price, you lose all confidence. And people can feel that. Never look away when you state your price. Look them in the eye. If you don't believe in it, they won't either. And that advice changed me because you see, he specialized in sales. And so his advice came from a lot of experience. Sometimes you have to borrow the confidence from the future version of yourself, the one you're growing into, not the person you are today. But if you need another way to think about sales, to kind of trick your mind a little bit, here's one way that works really well, and it's prescription, not persuasion. I want you to think of yourself as a doctor, not as a salesperson. A doctor doesn't apologize for prescribing medicine. They know it's what the patient needs. So your price is the prescription to what this person needs to succeed. Or you could think about it this way. Your services are the bridge to the other side. Your client is stuck on one side of the river, and your program is the bridge to get them to the other side of the river. When you state your price, you're not begging them to buy, you're inviting them to come across the bridge. The other thing I want to say is you want to anchor it in the outcomes that you're providing, not the numbers or the price tag. Before you state the price, remind yourself, this isn't about the numbers, it's about the results they get. Say it, and then when you say your price, be quiet. State your price calmly and stop talking. Silence forces them to process the fee and make the first comment. And I want you to practice eye contact. Just like that salesman told me, when you say the number, when you say your price, look them in the eyes with confidence, because confidence is contagious. And another thing you can do is rehearse it out loud. The more you practice saying your price, the less foreign it becomes. You build up that muscle memory with confidence attached to that price tag. And here's another little kind of pro tip. I use ChatGPT all the time to practice sales calls. I do the voice prompted ChatGPT, and I say, can you act like someone that wants to buy my program? And I have a conversation back and forth, and I practice saying the price. I practice, rephrasing things. I practice the whole sales process. So that is a great way to get more comfortable with sales. And here's something else that most people don't realize. And you don't learn this unless you spend time around people with money. The poor mindset is cheap is safer, I will spend less. The rich mindset is cheap is dangerous. I'll pay more because it saves me time, pain, and mistakes. The poor ask, can I afford it? The rich ask, what will it cost me if I don't afford it? And that's why wealthy people invest faster and bigger. They know time is one thing they can't get back. Most creators, though, they get stuck in the race to the bottom. They lower their prices. They think being cheaper will get them more clients. And it does, but at what cost? Because you attract the wrong ones, the complainers, the lazy ones, the ones who drain your energy, that demand to be saved and never do the work. Cheap prices equals cheap behavior. High prices equals high commitment. Low ticket equals overwork and burnout and resentment. High ticket, sharper clients, sharper you, and real transformation. And here's the elite truth. Something that blew my mind when I started hanging out with people that make lots of money. It is easier to sell one $10,000 solution to a person than to spend 1,000 $10 solutions to people. Because at $10,000, you show up sharper, they show up stronger, and the transformation is more impactful, it's more big, it's life-changing. So here's the strategy for this pillar. Stop apologizing for what you charge. Stop minimizing your wins. Stand fully in your value, because people don't just buy your program, your services, or your content, they buy your confidence. And if you don't claim your worth, no one else will. No one else can do that work for you. So confidence will get you in the game, but risk, that's what moves you up the scoreboard, which moves us on to pillar number 5. Risk is required. Success is always on the other side of risk. Always. If you only take safe steps, you'll only get safe results. Safety, by the way, is an illusion anyway. That's why most people never break through. They spend their whole lives trying to avoid risk, and what they actually are avoiding is growth, personal growth, financial growth, life growth, happiness, joy, everything. And here's what the wealthy and successful know. Certainty is a myth. Jobs aren't secure. Markets aren't secure. Algorithms aren't secure. The only real security is your ability to adapt. And adaptation comes from taking risks. Yep. Risks aren't something to be avoided. It's something to be used, to be embraced. And believe me, when you start taking risks, everyone and their mother is going to come out and tell you you're doing the wrong thing. because it makes them feel uncomfortable when you take risks. When I was growing my channel, someone literally paid for a call with me just to warn me, if you grow too fast, people like us won't want to watch you, and your content's going to lose views and subscribers. We won't be able to relate to you anymore. If I were you, I would slow down. That wasn't advice, that was a threat. I'm not interested in people who want to stand still or who want to threaten me about my success. I'm not interested in people who use fear to hold others back. And another time, when I raised my coaching prices from $150 an hour to $295, slow down, you're being a bit ridiculous, don't you think? But no, what's ridiculous is charging $150 when people are willing to pay me $295 for the exact same thing. That's like putting your house on the market, having someone offer you $250,000 for your house because that was the price tag, and you're like, oh, no. 175 is fine. We'll settle the deal at 175. It makes zero sense. So don't do it. Don't listen to people that want to keep you small or hold you back. And that is why it's so nice to have a mentor in your corner. Because when I got that comment, I took it to my mentor and he said, who cares? Keep going, right? And yes, I used to feel guilty. Like raising my prices meant I was leaving people behind. But here's the reality. I create tons of free content that anyone can access, and I pour my heart and soul into that content. There's an entire ecosystem of affordable resources out there for people. And as I move up, I make room for others to move up too. So the people fill in where I left, and they offer their services at that level. And I go up and up. And just like Harut is continually growing up with his business, I'm continually going up with mine. And that's the truth. You are not leaving anyone behind because there are plenty of people who will fill your spot when you move up. But so risk is scary and it does trigger people, but it's also the only way forward towards success. Fear, that's not a stop sign. That's a compass. If it scares you, it probably matters. And here's the other piece. Every risk has ROI, even the ones that flop. Most people see risks as winning or losing, but insiders see it as win and learn. You either get the results you wanted or you get the data that makes the next attempt sharper. Either way, you move forward. That's why wealthy people move faster. They know perfection is an illusion, so they act before they're ready. They launch, they test, and they fail forward while everyone else is still waiting for the perfect plan. There is no perfect plan. And here's a secret. Risk is also a filter. The moment you raise your prices, launch something bold, or step into a bigger version of yourself, the wrong people leave. And that's good because it clears space for the right people to find you. At first, it stings when people leave. You feel that loss. But what you come to realize is this. You start attracting people who think like you. People with big dreams, people who want to make a positive impact, people who are already achieving at a high level. And here's the amazing part. People at the top don't laugh at your goals. Never. They don't roll their eyes and call you ridiculous. They clap for you. They say, that's bold. I love it. Let's figure out how to get you there. Here's a funny story. When I renewed for another year to work with my business mentor, Harut, we had an onboarding call. I told him my goal was to hit $1 million in the next year, but I was sick and I barely had a voice on the call. So he misunderstood me. He thought I said by the end of this year, and that was just 4 months away. And you know what? He didn't even flinch. He just said, okay, that gives us 4 months. Let's map out the strategy. I had to stop him and be like, no, not by December, by this time next year, 12 months from now. And he goes, okay, different strategy then. Not once did he say, that's impossible, that's greedy, that's ridiculous, you're insane. He treated it like normal, like it's doable, like got it, let's roll. That's what it's like working with top talent. It's like living in a different dimension, you guys. It's a beautiful place. It's like a wonderland for adults with big dreams. And that's the dimension I want to bring to you in this video, to open up your eyes to. Because when you're here with me on this channel, watching my content, I will share everything I can to get you where you want to go. Because if there's a will, there's always a way. So here's the strategy for this pillar. Take the scary shot. Launch videos before it feels perfect. Make the offer that stretches you. Collect lessons, adjust, and go again. Because risk is the toll you pay for the life you want. And the bigger the dream, the bigger the risk required. Right now, I'm going after my $1 million goal. And let me tell you, it is already putting me through the ringer. Self-doubt, imposter syndrome, second guessing if I even want this goal, all of it. I told Harut the other day, I feel like my current self is trying to sabotage my future self. And his response was brilliant. He said, $1 million goals require $1 million pain. And it was all I needed to hear. Game on, let's go. Small goals demand small risks, small sacrifices, and lead to small steps forward. Big goals demand big risks, big sacrifices, and result in big leaps forward. But here's the thing, both paths come with fear, doubt, and discomfort. Both make you face the same feelings. So if you're going to feel it all anyway, why not go big? And that's where pillar 6 comes in now. You must have faith. Because honestly, you can't take big risks without big faith. You can't charge higher prices, show up authentically, or invest in yourself without faith that it will pay off. Faith is like the thread that ties every single pillar together that I'm mentioning here. And let me define what I mean by faith, because I'm not talking about faith in a religious sense here. Faith is the ability to trust your vision, your process, and your future self, even when your current reality hasn't caught up yet. It means believing before you see results. It means trusting that the small daily actions will compound even if the growth isn't visible right away. And it means holding your vision when others laugh and walk away. It means understanding that setbacks, failures, and sacrifices aren't signs to quit. They're proof that you're moving towards something bigger. And most of all, faith means anchoring yourself in the future version of you, the one you're becoming, instead of the current version of you that still feels scared. That's why this pillar matters most, because faith is what carries you through self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and those nights that you lie awake wondering if you're crazy for chasing this dream. That's what faith is. It's choosing to believe the pain has a purpose, that the struggle is shaping you, that the sacrifice is making you stronger. Small goals require small faith. Big goals require big faith. So here's the strategy for this pillar. Believe in it before you see it. Hold the vision when others doubt you. Trust the process when the results are slow. Anchor yourself in the future you, not the current you. Because if you have faith through the pain, through the waiting, through the unknown, then every other pillar works. Your words will carry power. Your authenticity will attract the right people. Your prices will hold. Your risk will pay off. But without faith, you'll quit before it compounds. So have faith in yourself, in the process, in life itself. Because faith is the foundation, and everything you want is built on top of it. If you want intentional growth, growth that isn't random but purposeful, those are the 6 pillars. Your words matter. They shape who you attract and what they believe is possible. Invest in yourself. If you want others to invest in you, you have to model it first. Authenticity wins. In a world of fake, being real is your greatest advantage. Claim your worth. Stop minimizing your value. People don't just buy your offer, they buy your confidence. Take risks. Success lives on the other side of the fear. The bigger the dream, the bigger the risks required. And lastly, have faith. Faith is the foundation. It's what ties everything together and keeps you moving when the results haven't shown up just yet. This is the playbook I use with my private clients, the same people who pay thousands of dollars to work with me. And I'm sharing it here with you because I believe everyone deserves access to intentional growth, not just the elite. So if this hit home for you and you know you're ready to stop posting randomly and start building with purpose, I'd love to support you more deeply inside my 6-month mentorship program. That's where we go all in, applying these pillars to your channel, your business, and your life so you can grow faster, earn more, and create the impact that you're here to make on this planet in this lifetime. Because here's the truth, you don't get results by chance. You get them by strategy, by intention, by living these 6 pillars. So now the question is this: which one of these pillars are you going to take action on today? Thanks, you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.